Okay. I'd like to kick off the meeting of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll have a roll call here of members of the committee. City Council Member Bodnar.
Here.
Joe Cassidy. Missing. George Dick.
Here.
Jerry Hathaway. Missing. Jim Moffitt. Here. Bob Morris.
Here.
At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Steve Bodnar, our City Council representative to the committee.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Well, it's good to see everybody again on the Bike and Pedestrian Committee. We took a little bit of a planned break from the springtime, and it's good that we're getting back together because we're going to have a lot of work to do. Since we last met in the spring, there have been some changes. Obviously, the most a significant one being a change in the membership of the composition of the committee. We have recently added 2 new members, Joe Cassidy and Jerry Hathaway. I would anticipate them to be at the next meeting, and look forward to having them participate in the committee. Appreciate their volunteering to be on the committee. I also want to acknowledge the members who have left the committee since we last met, and that being Jeff Fassier, Terry Ubaldi, and Hillary Pritchard. And you know, all of them had served on the committee for a long period of time. All had made significant contributions to the committee. And in addition to that, 2 of them served in significant roles in the committee, not just that they participated, but Jeff was our immediate past prior chair, and Terry had been the secretary. Both did a very good job in that capacity, and it's going to be, there's going to be roles that need to be filled, well, the roles that are going to need to be filled. It's also an experience void that we're going to miss, but we do appreciate the work that they had contributed to the committee. So where we stand right now, where the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee stands, is it's in a time of transition. That being said, over the past couple of weeks, I've had the opportunity to have several conversations with Jim Moffitt about the direction of the committee. The committee was created by resolution in 2017. Jim, you've been a charter member of the committee. You've participated in every issue and every topic that the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee has dealt with. And you have institutional knowledge of the committee's work going back to the time when it was formed. I'm addressing this because we're in a position where we need to fill our chair position and we need to fill our secretary position. Candidly, my primary concern for today is that moving forward that we have the chair position filled, since Jeff is no longer our chair, and the position being vacant. And to me, based off the conversations I've had with Jim, and although I don't have a vote in the issue, it's evident to me that you would be an excellent chair for the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So I have had conversations with Jim. My understanding is that if you were elected, if Jim were elected, that he would serve as interim chair for the remainder of the year. Now, while that may seem to be a short period of time, I would note that the committee positions for any of our voluntary volunteer committees in Cape May are renewed on a yearly basis at the beginning of the year during our reorganization meetings. So there's always some moment where there's a reflection on the composition of the committee. And while we always hope, obviously, for continuity, your willingness to step in as interim chair is something that I think would be significant to help with a transition of the committee, as well as the work that needs to be done for the balance of the year. So what I would suggest at this time is to this committee is that there be a nomination set forth for the chair. And I would suggest that Jim would be a good candidate for that interim chair position.
Yeah. I'll nominate Jim Moffitt for the chair position, interim chair, if you want to have it that way.
I second that.
Okay. Well,
In favor?
so we'll take a roll call vote. I'll do it for the moment.
Yay.
Okay. George, yes vote? Yay. Okay. Yes vote from Bob?
Yes, I'll go along with
Okay.
the rest of the people.
So thank you very much, Jim. It's appreciated, your willingness to step in. So with that, we do need to fill the secretary position. For the moment, as I said, we'll address that as we move forward. For the purpose of today, I am completely confident that we'll figure out a way to get our minutes published, because I think that I see George scribbling some notes, and I'm scribbling some notes as well. So,
You already
but
have yours in
I already have.
computer form.
Yeah,
I like
so
that.
I have a feeling that let's just say they'll come together really quickly and really easily. Okay. So with that, I just have a couple more remarks, if I may, Jim.
Please.
Okay. So part of this, I figured since it's a time of transition and it's a time of change, and in part after conversations that I had with Jeff and with Terry, as well as other members of with Jim as well, that there should be some questions had come up just as far as our organizational mission, and as well as, well, really the focus is just on the organizational mission. So with it being a time renewal, I took a look back on the resolution that formed this committee and its purpose. And I thought that it would be worthwhile to just briefly discuss those in an open forum, or just at least put them out there, because I think it gives us the opportunity to focus on just what our goals are. When you review the organizing resolution, it states that the goal is for the city of Cape May administration wishes to ensure that Cape May's roads, walkways, mall, promenade, bike paths, and beach access points are safe and user-friendly by taking remedial action to repair sidewalks and related walkways and continuing access to bike paths throughout the city with adjoining jurisdictions, by communicating with federal, state, and local officials for support and resources to create safe streets, sidewalks, and bike paths, and marshaling local support for educational programs for pedestrian maintenance and safety, and the maintenance and safety of low-speed vehicles. So with that mandate, which goes back to 2017, and which I think has been, at times, certainly the focus of the committee, but there's other stressors that have forced us and have had the committee look outside of Cape May. I think it makes me ask, what is the focus of the Bike and Pedestrian Committee? What should we be looking for issues, as far as the issues, and for solutions? So, first and foremost, looking at what is the jurisdiction of the committee. The jurisdiction is Cape May. This is a Cape May City Committee. It was created by resolution with members, all the members that are here, approved by a vote of Cape May City Council. This committee reports to Cape May City Council, and there are plenty of bike and pedestrian issues in Cape May to keep this committee very, very busy. But the organizing resolution also requires that this committee consider how its actions in Cape May will provide continuing access to adjoining jurisdictions. So while our mandate is Cape May, there's also a commitment to building and maintaining links to neighboring jurisdictions. And I believe that is a critical component of this committee and a critical mission of this committee. So that is why, although we focus on infrastructure issues in Cape May, bike issues in Cape May, pedestrian issues in the city of Cape May, it's why we also have on our menu of tasks to work on the island-wide bike plan, looking at working with the future route to Sunset Beach, and also the First Avenue Bridge proposal. So I think that it's critical to, the reason I mention this, and I think it's critical for us to note that, and not let it get lost in a soup, that we really have two missions. One is we need to focus on our issues in town, but we also have an obligation to see how we connect with our other communities and to make sure that we're able to maintain those links as seamless as possible. So the other issue I have is not necessarily an issue, but I wanted to discuss the QR code stickers. And candidly, there's been discussion about them for a good part of the season, and unfortunately, they didn't, well, we can roll them out now, and we need to distribute them and get them rolled out now. So let me just discuss what these QR code stickers are. And I'll pass that down. George, I gave you one as well. So in essence, the idea behind this is as follows. Cape May City has had a bike map that has been available, the paper map for riders and for users to utilize. The city did not publish a bike map this year, a topic that we can talk about for the future. But the idea behind these stickers is these stickers have a QR code on them. And on the QR code, these stickers can be placed on any bicycle that would be in Cape May. And the intent is to distribute the stickers to the vendors who rent bikes on the island. And cyclists would be able to use their phone to access the QR code, and it will take you to the city bike and safety page. On that bike and safety page is also the Cape May, the bike map is on there as well. Look, in this day and age, people do rely on paper, but everybody's relying on their electronics as well. One, it's a cost-effective way to get the information out. It may not necessarily need to be the exclusive way to do it, but it's a way that we will promote to get the bike map out to people, to have it readily available. And we will get this distributed to, as I said, to the bike vendors, so they can attach them to their bikes. Additionally, as the website gets updated, or as the bike map gets updated, we can update the information and we can still work off the stickers. So this is something that can be updated, unlike a map where if you make a change, you need a brand new map to show whatever the change is and reprint it. This is an easy fix. You plug in the information, and the next time you go and access the QR code, I mean, there you are. You have the latest map that's on there as well. So that's where we stand with the QR code stickers. At this point, as I said, they need to be distributed. We're going to work on that to make sure that they get out and distributed to the people that need them. So does anybody have any questions on on the QR code stickers or any comments.
Make that mandatory that the bike shops, if they rent a bike, that has to have this on there?
I think that my understanding is the bike shops are good with this idea. I don't think there's going to need to be any persuasion from anybody to add these to the bikes. Look, I think probably one of the question that the bike shop owners receive is, how do I get from here to there? And where can I get a map? So I don't think that there will be an issue with that. So I mean, it's a voluntary thing, but I think it's going to be it will be a welcome addition to what they're able to provide their customers as well.
I think this is a good start. I mean, I'm looking at the map, and it clearly shows where you don't want to go. And to me, that's the number one thing. It shows Broadway from Landis down to Sunset is this the no-go zone. It shows West Perry as a no-go zone. It shows Lafayette as a no-go zone, which is great because if people would look at this map, they realize, hey, this is not a safe route for me. I think the next step to this is a great idea for people. Oh, you can't hear? You can't hear? I'm sorry. I'll bring the mic up here. Is that good? Sorry about that. I was saying that the next step, the map is really good because it shows you not only where you should be riding, it also shows you where you shouldn't be riding. This group has spent a lot of time talking about don't ride on Broadway, don't ride on Lafayette, and even suggested, hey, let's eliminate bikes on those roads. We're not allowed to do that. But this map is very good. But the next step would be actually have street signage that says this is a safe route. And so, for example, if you're coming down Broadway and you pass the Borough Hall, once you hit Landis, it would be a sign saying, hey, safe route to the beach is this way, rather than straight down Broadway. So that's kind of, I think, the next step from having the map. You look at the map and then you're riding your bike, you need to have direction. So,
And that's something that we can certainly work on in, I'll call it the off-season, as we transition over into next year to take the idea to the next step and make it more visual as people are actually biking on the streets. Unless there's anything else, that's the extent of what I have, Jim, so I'll return the floor to you.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Just a couple of introductory remarks from myself. First of all, thank you for my fellow committee members for confidence in me and approving me to be the interim chairperson. Why interim? May be on people's mind. And I had a really good conversation with Steve and the mayor probably about a month ago, as the three members of the committee resigned, and what was I going to do? And tell you the truth, I was on the fence of whether staying or leaving with the other three members. And we talked through some of the issues, and it really turns out that I kind of wanted to see what the new thinking, new members might be for the bicycle committee going forward. So I agreed to take the, if elected to the position of interim chair, to take the position for the remainder of 2025, this year, for the next 4 months, and see how the progress is going with the committee and how I'm feeling about it, how my health is holding up, how other things that I'm involved with I can set aside a little bit more and spend some real time with the committee and trying to move it forward in the best interest of the city of Cape May. So I'm here for at least for the next couple of months, and we'll see. Another personal thing is being a octogenarian. My hearing is going like many of my comrades in their 80s. So I just ask that people to speak up when you are speaking. Turn the button on to green for the microphone, or otherwise I'm going to have to ask you to repeat everything you just said, and I don't think either one of us really want to deal with that. So please speak up. A couple of things that I'm mostly interested in seeing, what's the real purpose of this committee, and what are we trying to do? And two things to me stand out above anything else. And the first and foremost is safety. That everything that we talk about doing, whether it's for bicyclists or pedestrians, safety has to be the number one concern of the bicyclist or the pedestrian. And that, to me, is above all. And the second is, I want to see this committee being the advocate for bicyclists and pedestrians, and making sure that they're having the best experience they can in Cape May, whether they're a resident, whether they're a visitor, whether they're from somewhere else in the United States. When they come to Cape May, we're providing them with the best experience they can have as a bicyclist and a pedestrian. So those are the two things I'd be looking for to promote as we talk about recommendations, as we talk about we're an advisory committee. We provide advice to city council, the city manager, department heads, not directly, but going through the city manager, and that we don't make any rules, or we don't make any ordinances. That's left up to council. But we are here as advisors, and we need to earn the respect of council and the city manager to let them hear our ideas and give us consideration of those ideas. And I guess the last thing, my bottom line would be, are we as a committee adding value to the town? Are we just rubber stamping things? Are we just listening to whatever departments and the city and council and the city manager are doing and say, okay, or where are we adding value as a committee to the city and being meaningful as opposed to just rubber stamping? Essentially, that's it. The last two things I'd say is I'm all in favor of short, to-the-point meetings, not ones that drag on for hours and hours. So I want to set the limit for meetings of 90 minutes. If we can't get it done in 90 minutes, then we get it done next month at the next meeting. And if we can get it done shorter than 90 minutes, let's say within an hour, all the better. And that particularly in the public comments section, to limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. We encourage you to be heard, but we're not here for a 20-minute sermon from the individuals who would like the opportunity to speak. And I want to give everybody an opportunity to speak. But remember, we're here for no more than 90 minutes, and you are limited to a 5 minutes thing. The next thing I have is we need to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which I believe are the June minutes. Steve, do you have those?
I believe.
Oh, here they are.
Yes. So they have been printed out, and you have them for distribution, Jim.
Right.
Thank you.
Maybe everyone would like to have an opportunity just to take a quick,
Yeah,
an opportunity to look at them.
Take a quick look. But these are the meeting of, actually, the April meeting. They're minutes from the April meeting. Yeah, on both sides of the page. Fellow members, whenever you're ready to have a glance at these and vote to approve or make any changes, speak up.
I had received an email on these, and I accept the minutes as written.
I accept the minutes, yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved as written. Next, I'd like to call on the city manager, Paul Teacher, to have remarks in his report as to
Thank you.
what you've been up to the last couple of months.
I'm actually going to give a couple updates. So from a pedestrian standpoint, we've added and upgraded the pedestrian crossing here at City Hall to Victoria Towers on Washington to an activated push button to kind of match what the county did over at the school at Lafayette. The old ones that were just continuously flashing didn't really give a good alert because I think the motorists just got used to them just flashing lights, and then it really wasn't alerting to when a pedestrian was in the crosswalk. So we've upgraded and made that upgrade at that location. I know that this committee has been working for several years on the bike lanes on Pennsylvania Avenue with the county. The county's kind of pushed this project down from their high priority list and kind of has kept moving it. Have spoke to the county engineer. It is on their docket to go out to bid probably later this month or next month. They hope to award it over the winter, have construction start in March to be opened up by Memorial Day in 2026. I know it's been a long time coming, but that's where we're stuck with when we're dealing with our county partners, but we've been pushing with them, so we feel fortunate that it is going to happen in the spring of 26.
Is that going to go from Madison to?
Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Yes.
It's the
yes.
school program.
As part of that Safe Streets to School program, and they did do some of the crossings on Madison, the crosswalks across Madison, but they will continue the whole labeled bike route from Pittsburgh back down to Madison on Pennsylvania.
Nice to see that come to fruition.
It's going to be a good, important addition for all of our, the students that come from on the other side of Pittsburgh Avenue that come down Pennsylvania and head towards the elementary school. It's going to be an important safety improvement for them.
Paul, if I could just add to that for a moment. I mean, I know Paul's understating I think the effort that has been put out by the city to work with the county to get this project done. It hasn't always been, I guess, out there, in the public realm as far as all the communication that's been going on back and forth. But I just want to say, I really appreciate Paul. I know you've been in constant contact with the county to try to get this project moving. I know the mayor as well has been in contact. Yep. You're probably tired of hearing from me regarding this particular project as well. But you've been, I know there's been a lot of people who've been pushing this, not just with this committee, obviously, for a long period of time. But we're at a point now, in Pennsylvania Avenue has been completed for a couple of years now.
Couple of years,
and we anticipated that this would be done essentially the spring after, or the fall, after the road was
We thought in
completed.
2023.
So I think
when-
our thought was that, well, okay, now that it's done in 2023, it only takes a couple hours to go and lay those lines down. What seems like it should have been a small task is, here's where we are. So I appreciate, the county, that this is a county project and their involvement with this. But I think by the constant keeping our foot on this has really been helpful to get it to this point, and look forward to one, stay on top of it to make sure that they follow through and put it out to bid in November, get the project done. But as I said, I appreciate everything you've done, Paul, and
Yep.
do this and
No
keep
problem.
this on in your A basket, as far as to make sure that it remains a priority.
Steve, does the Coast Guard still have I'll call it a little mini parade every morning and afternoon to and from the Coast Guard base to the school? Back in the day, 5-10 years ago, they had a parent or two who would lead somewhere between 5 and a dozen young bicyclists from their home, from the Coast Guard base to the elementary school, and then in the afternoon, reverse that. Is that still a activity that the Coast Guard is involved with?
Jim, I know exactly what you're talking about because I remember seeing it, and it looked like a mother hen with its chicks following it
Yeah.
down the street, back and forth each way to school, and it was moms and dads that participated in that. Unfortunately, right now, no, that's not happening, and I think that. I think what happened is due to the construction. I think that people changed their habits at that point in time, and right now that those habits haven't been, there's a different behavior that's going on. It's not being utilized as much as we had seen it done before. But I'm confident that if we get the lanes back in, that's going to start to bring traffic back on there again. And I realize that although bike lanes aren't designed to be a speed control device, I think that when the lines are put on there, that it will help maintain I think it'll have a dampening effect on speed on Pennsylvania as well on those streets. I mean, the good news is Pennsylvania is now it's smooth, but it's also fast. So people take advantage of that, including school buses. But I think that the lines will help with that. And I would also think that once we get these lines painted, look, we'll have a conversation with the Coast Guard community will be aware of this as well. Hopefully we can reestablish that so we can see what we did before. Because we know that we have that community over there. Those kids are going to school. They're just taking a different route than they had in the past.
Thank you.
The other thing, we last year we had completed the Safe Streets Roads program. The city did submit an application for federal funding to update the Cape Island bike plan. So that has been submitting, and we're awaiting to see if we receive that federal grant. There is some state legislation circulating, so I'd encourage everyone to reach out to their state legislators regarding e-bike safety and registration. And I know several of the towns have passed resolutions, but I encourage all residents to reach out to their state legislative teams, especially not the ones, locally it's being sponsored by our local, it's pretty supported by our local legislative team, but to any of our residents that live in other communities in the state, they need to reach out to their legislators and their districts outside of our local legislative district to help encourage the registration, the proper enforcement, to give our police the tools necessary to make it safer for e-bikes and the other users of the road, because unfortunately there's a lot of e-bike users out there that just don't follow the rules of the road, and the police have a difficult time enforcing that because they can't get into a chase with them, and because there's no registration or identification on them, they can't, it's not like, if a car, they have a license plate so you can identify that car even if you don't have continuous eyes on them, or even if somebody as a resident, you could report somebody based on their license plate. But with an e-bike, we don't have that ability. All you're going to say is, oh yeah, there's a guy with a hoodie on an e-bike flying through town. Well, there's probably about 5 of them at any given point in time that meet that description. So that's why this legislation is so important, to get through the legislation and get to the governor's desk before we have to go through another summer like this.
Did you guys, Cape May, do a resolution?
We have it on for an upcoming agenda.
Okay,
to
yeah, we
get
have
that.
ours tonight. It'll
Yep.
be on.
So it's important. So this is really an encouragement for any of our residents that are listening to this or listen to it later, to reach out to your state legislative team to let them know that you really do support that legislation to regulate e-bikes in some form or fashion. And I think the legislation that they've proposed is a very good first step to help with the problem.
Paul, just a question on the consultant study from last year
Yes.
that has been finalized, and it's on,
Yep.
I know it's on the website.
Yes.
Where are we in the process of the next step?
Well, the first step was applying for a grant, because remember, that was the whole focus of that plan, was to identify projects that we could look at doing in the future. So I know West Cape May has taken on a project to kind of focus on First Avenue Bridge, and I'm sure George will kind of touch on that here after I finish my report. Cape May City is looking at taking on and looking at updating the bike plan. So those are the first 2 action items coming out of that. Some of the other items that are in that, whether it's a Cape May City project or one of the other boroughs projects, each individual governing body will have to look at if we haven't applied for federal funding, whether or not there's a project that we can take up the local cost of that. I know that there is some, we potentially might look at a soft route of like the bike route that would say continue from Leeming and Landis and kind of bring it Elmira Bank, and then how do we get it once Bank comes up to Lafayette? How do we try to get it, between Jackson and Decatur and get it back over to Beach, and whether or not there's a easy lift project that we can maybe do from signage and changing of some one-way streets and doing that. So that would probably be a project that I might look to propose for council for next year to get some budget funds to look at that. But there again, those are all going to be driven on getting budgetary funds in order to design it and implement those projects.
Well, and again, in preparation for this meeting, I went in and reread the report, and I counted 7 prioritized infrastructure projects.
Yep.
Just for Cape May
Yes.
that are there. Are we looking for grant money for each one of these, or in total?
Well, we applied for the one because unfortunately, even applying for the grants, it costs money to make the application to get the grant. So it's not, these aren't things that just, to look for the grant, but the main grant that we'd be looking for is through the Federal Highway grant. When the DOT announces some of their additional funding for their transportation enhancement grants, we'll look at when those grant announcements come out over this next 12 months to see if there's things that fit into those categories. But those are really the two places that you would get grants for the types of projects we're looking at, is the DOT and the Federal Highway. And, in this past years, we applied for the Federal Highway funding cycle. We'll look at next year, and if, a lot of it's going to depend on how much funding I can get from council to make those grant applications, because unfortunately, those grant applications aren't inexpensive to put those things together. They require a lot of documentation that requires a lot of effort. It's not as, those aren't simple grant applications where myself or another staff member can spend a half an hour writing up some good words and putting the application. There's a lot of, especially the federal grants require a lot of documentation and information that's not just off the shelf and easily prepared.
Right. Is there, and I know this is a a touchy subject. But is there any thought about using Cape May budget money?
That's what I said.
Operational budget, as opposed to waiting 3 years for a grant to
Well, that's a discussion that I'll be evaluating our entire budget, and then if I can find a hole within our budget that we have funds available, that I can make a recommendation to council to move one of these projects forward. That's what I did, and that's what I said was, I might look at for next year to put some budget money in the budget to look at that corridor to kind of bring the bikes down Elmira to Bank, and then how to figure out how to get them from, once you cross Lafayette, how to get them down to Beach Avenue. So that's most likely the project that I would try to propose to council in next year's budget.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Paul, a question on that. When we did the GPI study, the final output of the study was identifying kind of hot spots and
Yep.
corridors, for example, the one you're talking about from West Cape May into town and then to the beach. They proposed a follow-up that had more specific projects on it. If I remember correctly, the last meeting we talked to them, it was, these are general things. When you do a project like you're talking about, it would be another study to
Yes.
do what are the options on, for example, the leaming,
Yes.
the land, Broadway leaming all
Right.
the way down. Are you thinking about actually doing something with GPI again or another firm to look at specifics for that?
Yeah, what I'd be looking at funding would be the design of that project.
Okay.
Which obviously they have to design it, so it's not a construction project, it's a funding to get a consultant to engineer the potential solution for that issue and that hotspot.
Right.
And move it forward.
Okay.
The next item I really want to discuss is, I think one of the most favorable projects the city's probably completed, and that's the ADA mats on the beach that parallel the promenade. We finished up the last of that prior to this past beach season, and I think that's been one of our most welcome things, and we've gotten a lot of positive support on the mobility of getting people out onto the beach and to be able to go up and down the beach. We've just received accolades and accolades. It seems like everybody is it just opens up the beach to people that aren't able to get down there, and it just really, I think that's been one of the most satisfying things that, as a project that we've completed from the city standpoint, to be able to get people to enjoy a beach location that they may not otherwise be able to do. So we look forward to maintaining those mats moving forward. Obviously, we have a new seawall project that's anticipated that will extend the promenade, so that'll be more pedestrian and bike facilities that, hopefully that project will go to construction over the winter time into the spring. So that will probably be a 18 to 24-month project. So, possibly 2028 season, we could look at having maybe increased the promenade by 50%.
Good. Those mats are wonderful.
Yes.
That'd be great. That's going all the way out to Wilmington?
That'd go all the way down to
Oh,
Wilmington.
that'd be great, yeah.
Yes. And then the next two projects, I'm going to have the presentation board, so I kind of saved those for last so I could get up and talk about them. So the first project, we've received 2 grants, small cities grants from the Department of Community Affairs to construct ADA improvements. And this would be extending from Kiwanis Park, where the sidewalks kind of go to the end of the pond at Kiwanis Park. We're going to extend sidewalks through the tennis club area and then up through the Physics Estate all the way up to Washington Avenue to create a pedestrian ADA corridor through the Physics Estate, through the tennis club, all the way out to Madison. So, and we're also going to eventually sign that as hey, as a bike shortcut, so that bikes don't have to go up and navigate the intersection at Madison and Washington, that bikes would be able to navigate through this area to kind of cut the corner, so to
Is that
speak.
an easement that you guys, is that?
The city owns all that property.
You own that property?
Yeah, the city, what a lot of people don't realize, the city owns Kiwanis Park, the city owns the tennis club, the city owns the physics estate. That is all city property. We lease, obviously we lease the physics estate to MAC and they operate that. We lease the tennis club property to the tennis club to operate the tennis facilities. And there is one, just to make sure everybody is fully aware, there is a public court that is open to the public, that you don't necessarily have to be a member of the club to utilize, but it is you have to reserve it through the tennis club, but there is the hard court, not the clay courts that the rest of the facility has, but there is a hard macadam court in the back that is a city court. So this will improve ADA access through there, but also creates that corridor to cut the corner, so to speak, from Madison to Washington.
So, looking at that map, can you keep going straight and come out on Virginia? So,
No, you can't. There's
that's wetlands in there?
Yeah, there's wetland, or it's low back in
I
there.
just
Yeah,
was
you
thinking
can't.
of, we talked about in this group multiple times, Washington and Lafayette's a tough way. So
Right.
let's say I want to go to the marina. If you just cut off a match, if you could get onto Virginia, you're on back streets.
No. I mean, this avoids the intersection, but also gives you from a pedestrian standpoint, gives you an ADA point to kind of go through the park and through the physics estate, and kind of see the other side of that area in a better fashion.
Paul, is there any discussion about having a path around the south side of the lake, the pond, and come up there? Because it gets really
There's
crowded.
been several
with the
discussions of
basketball.
that. However, the properties, the residential properties on that side of the lake, their houses are really close to that edge, and it just, we've wanted to respect those neighbors that live along that side of the lake and not put those pedestrians, from a sidewalk perspective, right in their backyard. Because there are setbacks. These lots that front here, that back up there, they don't have a lot of rear yard, and their rear yard is essentially right there. Like
Yeah, it
some
just
of
gets
the
awful
rear yards are like from here to the stage backyard. So I think council was, I think originally there was a proposal to put the sidewalk there, but after discussions with the neighbors, they decided not to do that.
Okay, I just think with adding, the path, there's going to be more people. It's
can't-
busy as it is right now.
I wouldn't disagree with you. It's a beautiful walk to walk around that whole lake, but that's kind of the decision the city made. The next project that the city is undertaking is going to be a multi-phase project. It's the city has budgeted $600,000 for a sidewalk-only project. My understanding, this is probably one of the only sidewalk-only projects the city has done, and I can't remember, so I don't want to say that they've never done a sidewalk-only project. We've through the Shade Tree Commission, we look at individual properties and through a 50-50 program, but to my understanding, this is probably one of the first sidewalk-only projects to where we're going to go through and really look at sidewalks. Pedestrian safety is a concern and is a priority for the city, and we realize that we have a lot of people walking down our sidewalks. We have a lot of areas that we need some help in repairing our sidewalks. The ordinance really says that sidewalk repair is left to the property owner. Well, we can't always rely on property owners maintaining it because we have a lot of visitors traversing the sidewalks, but also we have a lot of street trees, and those street trees cause problems along there. So the street trees are a city problem, so we're wanting to take this as a partnership with these property owners and do that. The first phase of the project is a little bit smaller in scale, though I think it's still a good project. Just because we wanted to, since we haven't done this before, we wanted to see about pricing, because a lot of the sidewalk repair is, we're looking at areas, especially, so we're looking at Columbia Avenue from Madison to Ocean, and then Virginia from Pittsburgh, essentially out to Madison. Doesn't quite come out to Madison, but I think everybody gets the idea. And then some areas along Ocean. And then there's some scattered spots that we know that we have some of these street tree look problems that have been identified to Shade Tree Commission. And this essentially, if you look at it, creates kind of a corridor from Pittsburgh down to Ocean as a walking corridor. But on Columbia, we have a lot of issues where there's a lot of slate sidewalk and some brick sidewalk. So part of that is, from a contractual standpoint, we don't really know on a large scale of what price point we're going to get for resetting this slate sidewalk. We're in a historic area, so we're not going to tear up the slate, chuck it in the trash, and throw in concrete. We're actually going to set a concrete bed, wet set that slate into the concrete, and so that it stays put, and we'll have a better walking surface in that respect. So that's why this is a little bit smaller of a project. But that's the area that we're looking at, doing the entire stretch of Virginia and the entire stretch of Columbia Avenue as this first set of projects. Once this is done, I anticipate we'll extend this project through the funding of that $600,000 and move that forward throughout the years. So that's the other. Those are I'll say these are two pedestrian guided projects. The sidewalk project will probably be going out to bid within this month to have it awarded in the early part of November by council, and then we'll start construction, and hopefully it'll be completed by spring. The tennis club project will probably be maybe a month behind that project.
A question or two for you, Paul. How is this going to work with the owner of the property?
So we are going to be, because there is some sidewalk responsibility on the owner, we are going to be looking at a 25% cost share with the owner and ask the owner to pick up 25% of the costs.
Well, will they have the option of saying, no, I have no money to put into this?
Well, we'll give them the option that, obviously you don't have to pay us 100% today, but yet we can take it, we can take that in installments over 5 years and pay it out over a 5-year period.
Well, again,
but
maybe there's some negotiations there.
But ultimately, the sidewalks, by ordinance, are the responsibility of the property owner.
I know
so. So it's not, we have a responsibility for all of our taxpayers. That, we have, if there's a trip and fall, and it's on your property, and you haven't maintained your sidewalk, you share some of that responsibility. Because guess what? The city has tort liability on most trips and falls on sidewalks, mainly because we have a shade tree commission. We have a process about repairing our sidewalks that are caused from street trees. We're now also developing a comprehensive, more full program about that. So from the city's perspective, though we don't want anybody to have a trip and fall accident, from a liability standpoint, the city is protected. So guess what? If somebody wants to sue, the city is protected. Who are they going to look at from a liability standpoint, and who are they going to be able to get some potential money from? It's going to be that property owner. So it's going to be in that property owner's interest to work with the city to replace the sidewalks that we've identified as a hazard.
Okay. And then a second question, is the city going to go out to bid for one contractor to do
Yes.
all the work on both those avenues?
That's how these projects work.
Okay, so the resident doesn't get a chance to say, no, I want Joe to do this, not Sam.
Well, most likely, because we're doing such a large project in scale, it's going to be cheaper for us in our pricing compared to you as a homeowner talking to a contractor. Now, granted, if Joe's your uncle and he's going to give you a deal,
Yeah.
then yeah, we may say, yeah, if you want to have, we're going to tell them this is what we estimate the price at. When the price comes in, this is what your share is. If you think you can get it all done with your contractor,
Go for it, yeah.
go for it and have at it. I'll just go down to the,
But just make
the next
sure
property.
it keeps the standards the same
Yes.
across the board.
But the idea is to, to improve pedestrian walkway safety through these projects.
Paul, a lot of cities that I'm aware of, the way they handle the sidewalk issue is when you sell your house, you must fix the sidewalk in front of your house. So this continues on forever. You know, every time somebody sells a house, the sidewalk is fixed. So
Right.
things get taken care of by the homeowner as they're leaving. Have you ever considered doing something like that?
Not at this point.
Okay.
But other places they get it is insurance companies do routine inspections, and that's
Yeah.
how a lot of people
Exactly.
come to us and say, hey, I need some help.
Yeah.
And that's where we've routinely, that's why our 50/50 program with the shade tree, because with the shade tree, it's a 50/50 program. So this program at a 25% cost share is a better deal than waiting for, if you go straight to the shade tree commission, that's only 50/50, so you're going to pay 25% more on that compared to if you participate in our program now. So,
Okay, thank you.
nope, no problem.
Do you have anything further, Paul?
No, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover.
Great,
Thanks.
good report, thank you. George, you want to give an update?
Sure.
On the
I'll get you
First
the-
Avenue Bridge report?
Sure, I can actually give an update on a couple of things that we've had. First, projects that we had with the county that affected the roundabout, which has been on the books since 2013. We met with Bob Church, and that is scheduled for winter 26-27. That's the roundabout at Park Boulevard, Perry, Myrtle, West Perry, and I guess that's still Park Boulevard on your side, too. So hopefully that'll happen. The big holdup had been parking spots that were in front of the lumberyard. That was resolved actually 6 or 8 months ago. So that should be ready to go. And hopefully next winter we'll see some progress. Second thing, another county project, and this one's kind of fluid. It's the Sunset Boulevard project. That hasn't had as long a life, but it is still there, and they're waiting for the Higbee project to get finished. So again, that could be 26, 20 start construction in 27. That provides an off-road walkway parallel to Sunset Boulevard that'll run from Pacific Avenue, which is where Stager's Beach Thing, Jake's Pizza is, down to the parking lot. Actually, it's before the parking lot. It's Bayshore Road, attached to the gravel road that's in the South Cape Meadows, and then extend past there, actually on the street. So that'll go all the way out to Sunset. Hopefully, again, that'll start up in the fall of 26. And that's a great project. I'll tell you a couple things that are going on there. There will be, and we've spoken with the engineers, since it's still somewhat in flux on exactly the striping and some of the speed mitigation. We're trying to get them to have the same speed limit on that all the way down. Right now, it's 3 speed limits. It's 25 in West Cape May to Columbia. It's 35 from Columbia to Bayshore, and it's 40 all the way out, which is insane. But we're trying to get that to be 1 speed limit. The other thing is there will be crosswalks for pedestrian safety at, one that we were talked them into is one at First Avenue that'll go right to where the fruit stand is. One at Pacific, and we're looking at that as a raised intersection, so that is the safe way to go to the beach. Then there's going to be one at Atlantic, Columbia, Bayshore, the entrance to the Nature Center West, and then Stevens, and then I'm not sure all the ones up toward the point, but all through West Cape May, it'll have crosswalks, and they'll have access to that off-road path.
Great.
So that's a good project. Specific West Cape May projects, this fall we'll go out to bid. We are redoing First Avenue from Sunset down to West Grant. It actually turn a little bit on West Grant. There's a considerable flooding on that street when it rains because the storm sewers, the slope of the road isn't quite correct, so we're going to fix that. We're fixing the storm sewers, and we're fixing the roadway. We will have bike-friendly striping on that. That project is being, will go out to bid this fall, so it'll be done this winter. So that's kind of a precursor to the next thing. The proposed bridge off of West Grant to First Avenue in Cape May. There's really not a lot of update on that that people already know. We have done preliminary plans. At the last Board of Commission meeting, we authorized doing additional engineering work so that we can prep, as Paul said, you prep to do your applications for the DEP and for other grants. We have a $85,000 grant from local aid infrastructure grant, which is great. It allows us to do that work, the preliminary work, to see if it's actually feasible with grant money, which is awesome. So we're in that process. We just approved using that money on the last meeting, which was 2 weeks ago. And the next thing is getting the permits ready for DEP. And then once we have additional information, we'll do a public meeting to talk to everybody. We can do it jointly, Paul, if you want, or we can do one here and one there. But that's kind of the update. We have talked to residents. The residents have come to the meeting. Spent a lot of time with Ted there on his deck and Mr. God on his deck. So we spent a lot of outreach time trying to make sure we're working with the residents to see how this can work for everybody. Okay.
Thank you. Before we get to public comment, just one thing about going down the road. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 8th. I would hope at that time we would start talking about priorities of this committee for 2026, what our focal points are going to be, what projects we want to commit to, and what our goals are for the coming year. So hopefully we'll have not just ourselves, but our other 2 new members join us, and I'll give them a call or contact them and make sure that that's on their schedule to attend that meeting.
Jim, can I make it one more comment?
Certainly.
I just want to thank Cape May for allowing West Cape May to participate. I mean, I've been on this committee for, I don't know, over a year now, and it's been a really good thing to work together on some of these projects since our towns are so linked. West Cape May has had a great presence on this committee for a long time. I know Carol Sabo was on it. Hillary Pritchard, who just resigned, is a West Cape May resident. Bob is a West Cape May resident. So 2 of the 3 people that are here today are actually from West Cape May. It gives us a great insight as to what Cape May's thinking about their mobility issues for other than cars, and then it helps us understand what we need to start thinking about on how we can create programs and create routes, safe routes like we've talked about many times, to the beach, to the mall, to the restaurants. So I appreciate the opportunity to be part of the committee.
Yeah. Well, we have a good opportunity to be good neighbors and enhance that through this committee.
Yeah, I would add that it's added a lot of value. We have these discussions. It is seamless to go from one community to the next. So, it really helps to work on it and bring those issues and discuss them together. I think we've been able to kind of cut through a lot of issues by just being able to sit down, being at one table.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks. If there's no other discussion things, I'll open it up to public comments. So please come up, turn on your microphone, just announce your name and address, and the floor is yours for up to 5 minutes.
Great. Okay, I'm Roz Johnson. I live at 826 Lafayette Street. I'm here because I'd like to propose an improved signage of no bikes allowed on the Lafayette Park Nature Trail. The Nature Trail is an amazing addition to our city, beautifully built. carefully placed, all of which I'm very grateful. Because of its above-ground, narrow composition, it can safely accommodate walkers, but not both walkers and cyclists. An ordinance was passed by City Council stating such. As of now, there is a large, clear, simple no dog sign, which is great. No dog sign allowed on one side of the loop. But to know there are no bikes allowed, you have to read through a wordy sign and small writing that explains the entire ordinance. So it's big sign, no dogs, little sign, the whole ordinance, no bikes, no recreational, whatever. Cyclists are whizzing by the placard, not taking note. For safety reasons, there needs to be a simple no bikes allowed sign similar to the no dogs sign on both sides of the nature trail as it ascends. I say to the left and to the right side because visitors enter the above-ground area from both sides. It doesn't say enter here, exit here. They go on both sides. I'd like to know your thoughts on this, and of course, if you've not visited the nature trail, I encourage you to take in all the beauty that's there, because it's amazing. So, I know I have talked to Steve about this. Steve is in agreement that there are always bikes. There are always bikes there. It is not safe. I am a healthy person that is able to walk this area, but I know two people in particular that have walkers that have started the trail and are very afraid for their safety because behind them a bike will come whizzing by. I was brave enough to confront someone who whizzed by me 2 weeks ago, and the gentleman was very irate. He said to me, no, there isn't a sign. I said, I'm sorry, sir, for future reference. I was very nice. I said, for future reference, if you could note that there are no bikes allowed on the trail. And he said, do you want to make something of it? I've got a body cam on me, and you're on video. At which time his wife put a phone up to my face and said, we can go at it right here if you want about this issue. And I said, no, I'd like to, I'm going to go take a picture of the sign and bring it back to you. And I would also like to explain to you, to the person, why there are no bikes versus bikes and walkers. I said, it's very narrow and it's unsafe. I proceeded to take a picture and bring it back to him. So what I'm asking for is for you to approach council, and I know, Paul, you might be open to this, to simply have a no bikes sign that people can clearly see at the left side and the right side of the trail. Again,
Okay.
it's a safety issue.
Yeah, thank you. I think we understand
Okay.
your request. Paul, something for you and to look into.
Yeah, I mean, we have signs for the dogs, but guess what? There's still dogs up there too. So, I mean, and Roz, I totally understand, and I could put, the signs are for the people. I mean, everybody sitting here, we all follow the rules and follow signs, regardless of how well they're worded or not, and respectful for those things. And unfortunately, we do have people that want to be confrontational like that.
Right.
And I could have had 5 red signs along there.
But I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt, because the no bicycle is tiny, the whole ordinance is there, but the no dogs, it's very clear, no dogs. And, I would have liked to give this gentleman the benefit of the doubt that there was a clear sign that said no bikes.
And we do have
Paul, if I could
security,
just-
we do have security cameras out there, Roz, so if you have that type of encounter, I would definitely, if you feel that you needed to reach out to the chief and the police, and if you need to.
Oh, no, that's
Because
not
we
an
can track,
issue. Yeah.
because we do have security cameras out there now, we have the ability to track
Right.
and report those people.
I probably shouldn't have even mentioned that. To me, it's just to give the people the benefit of the doubt that there are no bikes,
I understand.
a clear sign. Okay, thank you.
So I realize we may have issues from as far as what people may do, but I think that from a communication standpoint, I think it is important that particularly visitors who may not
Right.
know what's going on
Yeah.
on the nature trails and aren't going to stop when they're on their bike to read
Right.
a lengthy sign. I think it is a good idea for at least for us to take a look at the signage out there. One, at both ends of the trail, because there's no beginning, there's
Right,
no
it's a
entry
loop.
point. I mean, it may,
Yeah.
what you think may be the place that you naturally enter may not be the place where somebody else thinks is naturally
Right.
to enter. So if there's 2 entrances, I think it's fair for us to be looking at a solution that would have some type of notification at both sides, and something that is abundantly clear to people, so that there's visually they can pick up and spot right away that
Right.
bikes aren't permitted, that they don't have to stop and necessarily read an ordinance. I don't know exactly. I need to take a look at the signage. Maybe Paul, maybe we can just take a walk out there or a ride out there and just take a look. And I'd like to at least, I'd like to take a look at what Roz has stated, because I think there is a valid point to making sure that the information is communicated to people, because we shouldn't have any. It's one thing if somebody responds and says, I'm going to do whatever I want.
Right.
But it's another thing if somebody says, I'm unaware of that, or I don't know,
Right.
or the information isn't available. So I just want to make sure that, that we have done our part as a city to properly post that. That said, being mindful that we don't want to pop 50 signs up all over the place, because we lose,
that
we lose the
becomes a
message
problem. I
out
mean,
there too.
it's the same thing. We have the same problem with on our beachfront. You end up having to have, instead of people just respecting and
Yeah.
knowing what the rules are and reading what the rules are, it's pretty obvious that's a rules sign.
Yeah.
You know,
So let's just, I would
Take a
just,
look at it.
just saying, I'd like to take a look at it. I
Right.
think it's knowing that it's a situation, and knowing that, that we're hearing that some people are saying that
Don't see
it
the
hasn't been
sign.
communicated to them. Let's at least just take a look at the signage, so.
And the only reason why
I'll do that, I'd like to do that with you, at least take a look at that.
and the only reason why the dogs got their own sign was because the other sign was based on the ordinance for the rules that were adopted by council. So that was already pre-ordered, so it was kind
Right.
of
Right.
it was an add-on sign because council changed the rules from when we originally adopted the rules. So that's just so that you know that we didn't think that the dogs had a greater need for a different
Right.
sign compared to the other.
Got it.
But the other sign was already ordered based
Yeah.
on how the ordinance was prepared.
I think Ross saw
No
all of
problem.
that unfold in
Yes,
real time.
I just wanted
attending
to
city
clarify that so that
Yeah.
we weren't, it's not that we were thinking one was more important
No.
from a safety standpoint than
Not
the
at
other.
all.
That's all I just
Not
wanted
at
to
all.
make sure. I know Roz was fully aware
Okay.
of
Thank you
how
so
we
much.
got there.
Thank you very much for your comment, and we'll follow up. Anybody else, public comments? If there's no other public comments, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming and listening.